I never meant to become the villain of my family's story. But after 7 years of watching them live like royalty on my dime, something inside me finally snapped. Maybe it was Trinity's perfectly manicured nail tapping impatiently on my desk as she demanded, not asked, that I host her dream wedding. Or maybe it was my father's dismissive wave when I mentioned the actual cost of the venue she wanted. I'm Savannah, and I manage the Versailles Crown Apartments, though my family prefers to call me the glorified janitor. Funny how they mock my job while living in luxury units at a fraction of the market rate. My sister Trinity pays $800 for a 3-bedroom overlooking the city. My Aunt Zaylee practically squats in the garden villa. And my father, he hasn't paid full rent since I took this position. Savannah, are you even listening? Trinity's voice cuts through my thoughts during our weekly family brunch. She's wearing that designer dress I know she can't afford, perfectly coordinated with her massive engagement ring. Of course, I lie, stabbing at my eggs Benedict. The restaurant's patio is quiet, except for our table. As usual, my family talks loud enough for everyone to hear their importance. So it's settled then. We'll have the wedding in your event space. I want the fountain courtyard for the ceremony, and the grand ballroom for the reception. Trinity beams at our father. Daddy, wait until you see what I've planned. I set down my fork. Trinity, that space book's for… Oh, please, she interrupts. It's not like you're using it. Besides, you owe me after that disaster with my engagement party. The disaster where you changed the menu an hour before? I ask quietly. The disaster where the champagne wasn't properly chilled, she snaps. God, Savannah, it's like you don't even care about making this special for me. My father clears his throat. Your sister has a point, Savannah. It's the least you can do. You've never given this family anything else. I feel my Aunt Zaylee's eyes on me, waiting for my reaction. My cousin Poppy shifts uncomfortably in her seat. They all expect me to cave, like always, to clean up their messes, approve their late payments, ignore their entitled demands. Fine, I say, surprising myself with how calm I sound. When's the date? 6 weeks from Saturday, Trinity chirps, already scrolling through her phone. I've hired Tatum George to plan everything. You just need to handle the boring stuff. Security, cleaning, setup. You know, your usual things. 6 weeks. Perfect timing, actually. I take a sip of my mimosa to hide my smile. Oh, and we'll need the staff to help with decorations, Trinity continues. That horrible Christmas display you put up last year? We're doing the opposite of that. Everything needs to be elegant. The Christmas display won you 3 Instagram contests, I remind her, because I styled the photos properly. Speaking of which, you'll need to have the fountain cleaned, and the windows, and probably replace those awful lobby chairs. I nod along as she lists demands, each one adding to the weight of my decision. 7 years of this. 7 years of watching them take and take, while treating me like their personal servant. We should discuss the guest list, my father interjects. I assume you can accommodate 300? The space is rated for 200, I say. Trinity waves her hand dismissively. Details. You'll figure it out. You always do. And there it is, the assumption that I'll bend reality to suit their needs. Again. But this time, something different stirs in my chest. Not anger exactly. More like anticipation. Of course I will, I say, raising my glass. To the bride. Everyone clinks glasses, delighted by my apparent submission. They don't notice my smile doesn't reach my eyes. They never notice anything about me, really. Later that night, I stand in my office, overlooking the sprawling complex. The fountain Trinity once sparkles under moonlight, its water dancing like the champagne they'll soon toast with. My phone buzzes, a text from Diego at the corporate office, confirming our meeting tomorrow. I take one last look at the empire my family thinks they're entitled to, at the luxury they've enjoyed on my goodwill. at the kingdom they're about to lose. To the bride, I whisper again. But this time, my smile is real. Because revenge, like the best champagne, should be served cold. And I've been chilling this vintage for 7 years. Let them have their perfect wedding. Let them celebrate in the home they think they own. Let them drink and dance and demand more, more, more. They won't see it coming. They never do. After all, I'm just the glorified janitor. Diego's suit probably cost more than my monthly salary, but his handshake was surprisingly warm. Savannah, I've reviewed your proposal. It's interesting. We sat in a downtown coffee shop, far from any prying eyes at the complex. I'd learned long ago that my family had spies everywhere, especially Aunt Zélie, who somehow always knew everyone's business. The numbers speak for themselves, I said, sliding a folder across the table. The complex is undervalued, and the current owner is ready to retire. Your company could acquire it at below market rate. Diego flipped through the documents. And you're certain you can facilitate this quietly? I've managed the property for 7 years. I know every detail, every contract. I paused. And every liability. He raised an eyebrow. Including the special arrangements for certain tenants, especially those. I took a sip of my coffee. None of their deals are legally binding, just verbal agreements with the current owner. Which means when we take over, market rate applies to everyone. Diego leaned back, studying me. This could get messy. Family politics usually do. I'm prepared for that. Are you? He pulled out a contract. Because once you sign this NDA, there's no turning back. No warnings, no hints. Complete silence until closing. I signed without hesitation. Back at the complex, I started quietly boxing up personal items from my office. Photos, awards, the little touches that made this place feel like home. Trinity burst in just as I was hiding a box under my desk. "What are you doing?" she demanded, designer purse swinging. "The wedding planner's been trying to reach you all morning." "I had a meeting." "More important than my wedding? Seriously?" She dropped into my visitor's chair. "Tatum needs access to the storage rooms. Apparently your staff has been uncooperative." Because they're actually doing their jobs, I thought. I'll handle it. You better. And what's with the maintenance lately? Mrs. Peterson said her AC took 3 days to fix. We're short-staffed. Trinity rolled her eyes. You're always making excuses. Just hire more people. With what budget? Oh my God. Are you seriously talking about money right now? When I'm planning the biggest day of my life? A knock at the door saved me from responding. My cousin Poppy peeked in, looking apologetic. Bad time? Perfect timing, I said, grateful for the interruption. Trinity was just leaving. Whatever, just fix the staff situation. Trinity stormed out, nearly colliding with a maintenance worker. Poppy settled into the now vacant chair. She's extra bridezilla today. When isn't she? Fair point. Poppy fidgeted with her bracelet. Actually, I wanted to talk to you about something. I'm thinking of moving out when my lease is up. That caught my attention. Really? Why? It's just, I feel stuck here sometimes. Like being around family constantly is... She trailed off. Suffocating? Exactly. She looked relieved someone understood. Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful for the arrangement, but you want your own life? Poppy nodded. Is that terrible? No, I said softly. It's probably the smartest thing anyone in this family has said in years. My phone buzzed. A text from Diego. Board approved. Preparing documents. No going back now. Everything okay? Poppy asked. Just work stuff. I forced a smile. Speaking of which... Right, sorry. She stood to leave, then paused. Savannah? Thanks for listening. You're the only one who ever does. After she left, I opened my email to find a message from Diego's office. The subject line made my heart race. Confidential, acquisition timeline, and rate adjustments. I scanned the document, my eyes widening at the numbers. Current tenants would face rent increases of up to 300%. No exceptions, no negotiations. Anyone unable to pay would have 30 days to vacate. My phone rang. Trinity again. I let it go to voicemail, already knowing it would be another demand, another criticism, another reminder of my place in the family hierarchy. Standing at my office window, I watched my father park his luxury car in his reserved spot, the best one in the lot, naturally. Aunt Zaylee was gossiping with neighbours by the pool. Trinity's wedding planner was directing staff to move furniture for a practice setup. They all looked so comfortable, so entitled, so certain of their place in this little kingdom. I picked up my phone and typed a response to Diego. Timeline approved. Proceed. Then I walked to my private bathroom and threw up, my hands shaking as I gripped the sink afterward. This wasn't just revenge anymore. This was nuclear war, and I just launched the first missile. But as I straightened my blazer and reapplied my lipstick, I remembered my father's words. You've never given this family anything else. Oh, but I was about to give them something unforgettable. The rehearsal dinner was in full swing, and I watched from the corner as Trinity held court at the head table. Her wedding planner, Tatum, hovered nearby like an overpriced shadow, while Vada, Trinity's future sister-in-law, kept shooting me pointed looks. "Savannah," Vada called out, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. "The ice sculpture's melting. Shouldn't you be handling that?" I didn't move. "The maintenance team will take care of it." "But isn't that, like, your job?" She smirked. "Trinity told me you're basically the building's janitor." Several guests tittered. My father, deep in conversation with Trinity's future in-laws, didn't even glance my way. "Actually," I said, keeping my voice level, "I'm the property manager." "Same thing, right?" Vada turned to Trinity. "I can't believe you're having your wedding at your sister's workplace. How quaint." Trinity laughed. "Well, we had to give her something to do. God knows she won't be a bridesmaid with that fashion sense." I touched my simple black dress, remembering when I'd bought it. The same day I'd signed the sale papers with Diego. It felt appropriate for both occasions. The evening dragged on, punctuated by more subtle digs and not-so-subtle demands. The air conditioning wasn't cold enough. The chairs weren't arranged properly. The lighting wasn't perfect. "Savannah!" Trinity's voice cut through the chatter. "The bathroom on the second floor is out of order. Fix it." "The maintenance team has gone home," I replied. "It'll have to wait until morning." "Are you kidding me?" She stormed over. "This is my rehearsal dinner. You can't just—" "Can't what, Trinity? Can't follow basic labor laws? Can't magically produce staff at 9 p.m.? You're trying to ruin this for me, aren't you?" Her eyes narrowed. "You've been weird for weeks, distant, like you're hiding something." If she only knew. "I'm just doing my job. Your job is to make sure everything is perfect for my wedding." She grabbed my arm, pulling me aside. "What happened to you? You used to be so accommodating." "People change. Well, change back. I need my old sister, the one who fixed everything without complaining." I gently removed her hand from my arm. "That sister got tired." "Tired of what?" "Everything." Trinity opened her mouth to respond, but Tatum interrupted with some crisis about the flower delivery for tomorrow. I slipped away while they were distracted, heading to my office. The security feeds showed the party from multiple angles. I watched my family enjoying their last celebration in this building, all of them blissfully unaware of what Monday would bring. A knock at my door made me jump. It was Poppy. "Hiding?" she asked, closing the door behind her. "Observing." She perched on my desk, watching the screens. Something's different about you lately. You seem, I don't know, calmer, but also sadder. Just tired of playing pretend. What do you mean? Before I could answer, Aunt Zaley's voice crackled through my office phone. Savannah, the ice machine in the bar area is making strange noises. Come fix it immediately. I didn't respond. Let them deal with warm drinks for once. You're really not going down there? Poppy asked, surprised. No. Trinity will have a meltdown. Probably. Poppy studied me for a long moment. You know what? Good for you. They treat you like garbage. If only she knew what was coming. I almost warned her then. Almost told her to start packing, to get out before Monday. But the NDA weighed heavy. And besides, she was still one of them. Wasn't she? I should get back, she said, standing. Try not to let them get to you. After she left, I walked through the empty event space, past the melting ice sculpture and the broken bathroom that just needed its handle jiggled. 7 years of fixing their problems, smoothing their paths, enabling their entitled behavior. Tomorrow would be the wedding. Their final hurrah in this building. I'd already approved the champagne delivery, made sure the AC would work perfectly, confirmed every detail they demanded. One last time, I stood in the center of the ballroom where tomorrow Trinity would have her first dance as a married woman, where our father would give his speech about his perfect younger daughter, where Aunt Zaley would gossip and Varda would sneer, and everyone would take their final sips of privilege. Hope this is good enough for your last celebration, I whispered to the empty room. My phone buzzed. Another text from Diego. Monday's notices are prepared, no exceptions. I didn't reply. Instead, I turned off the lights and left them all to their party, their complaints, their borrowed time in a kingdom about to crumble. Let them eat cake. Monday, they'd taste something far less sweet. I watched Trinity's wedding through the security monitors in my office, sipping champagne I'd ordered for myself. The same brand they were serving downstairs, but somehow mine tasted better. The ceremony was flawless. Of course it was. I'd made sure every detail was perfect, one last time. The fountain sparkled in the afternoon sun, its water providing a musical backdrop to their vows. The flowers were arranged exactly as specified. The temperature was ideal. Your sister really outdid herself, I heard one guest say to Trinity through the microphone feed. Oh, she just handles the basic stuff, Trinity replied. Tatum did all the real work. I topped off my glass and switched camera views. My father was greeting guests, playing the proud papa role perfectly. Aunt Zaley was already tipsy, telling anyone who'd listen about her upcoming cruise, the one she could somehow afford, despite being perpetually late with her rent. The delivery guy knocked on my office door. Last champagne delivery, ma'am. I handed him $100 tip. Thanks for everything over the years, Mike. You're not leaving, are you? Something like that. He hesitated. Well, you've been the best manager we've worked with, unlike some people here. He gestured vaguely toward the party. I switched cameras again as he left. The reception was in full swing now. Trinity was radiant in her designer dress, twirling on the dance floor with her new husband. The guests were eating the gourmet meal I'd arranged, drinking the top-shelf liquor I'd ordered, enjoying the live band I'd booked. My father clinked his glass for the toast. I turned up the volume. To my beautiful daughter Trinity, he began, his voice carrying through the speakers. You've always been special, always known exactly what you wanted and how to get it. Your mother would be so proud of the woman you've become. I waited for some mention of his other daughter. It never came. And to this wonderful venue, he continued, which has been more than just a home to our family. It's been our sanctuary, our gathering place, Our piece of paradise. Had been. Past tense. He just didn't know it yet. My phone buzzed. Diego. Paperwork filed. Ownership transfers at midnight. I opened my desk drawer and pulled out the stack of documents I'd signed earlier that week. Property transfer agreements, new management contracts, updated tenant policies. All official, all legal, all irreversible. The party continued below. I watched Trinity cut the cake, watched the guests dance, watched my family celebrate in their bubble of borrowed luxury. Around 10, Poppy looked directly at one of the cameras and raised her glass, a silent acknowledgement that she knew where I was. At 11, the party began winding down. Trinity and her husband left for their honeymoon suite at the Four Seasons. At least she wasn't expecting that to be comped. Guests filtered out, many of them residents who would return to their subsidized apartments one last time. My father was one of the last to leave. He stood in the empty ballroom for a moment, swaying slightly from too much champagne, looking around with satisfaction at what he probably thought of as his domain. At 11:59, I sent my final email as property manager, confirming receipt of the ownership transfer documents. At midnight, my access to the management systems was automatically revoked. Just another tenant now, albeit one with an ironclad lease. My phone buzzed again. A company-wide email from the new corporate owners. Dear Versailles Crown residents, we are pleased to announce new ownership effective immediately. Please check your individual notices regarding updated rental rates and policies. All special arrangements and verbal agreements with previous management are now void. Sincerely, Executive Management. I walked to my window and looked out over the complex. The fountain was still running, the lights still glowing, everything looking exactly as it had for years. But it wasn't the same. Nothing would ever be the same. In the morning, they would all receive their notices. My father would learn his rent was tripling. Aunt Zélie would discover her arrangement was void. Trinity would return from her honeymoon to find her dream apartment was no longer her castle. And me? I had 30 days left in my position before the new management team took over. 30 days to watch it all unfold. 30 days to savor the consequences of 7 years of entitlement. I finished my champagne and set the glass down next to the wedding program. Trinity had insisted I proofread 6 times. The elaborate font spelled out today's date, the last day of their rent-free fantasy. Tomorrow would bring reality. Tomorrow would bring chaos. Tomorrow would bring the bill for years of taking me for granted. But tonight, I would sleep soundly, knowing that sometimes the best revenge is simply stepping aside and letting karma do its work. After all, rent isn't just about money, it's about what you owe. And my family's tab had just come due. Monday morning arrived with the sound of slamming doors and raised voices. I sat at my desk, watching the security feeds as residents checked their mailboxes. The notices had been delivered at 6 a.m. sharp. Trinity burst into my office at 8:15, still in her honeymoon resort robe, clutching a piece of paper. "What the hell is this?" "The building has new owners," I said calmly. "I'm sure you read the notice." $3,000 a month? Are they insane? She slammed the paper on my desk. "Fix this." "I can't. I don't work for them." "What do you mean you don't?" She stopped, her face paling. "What did you do?" Before I could answer, Aunt Zélie stormed in. "Savannah, I just got an eviction notice. They say I owe 6 months of back rent." "You do. But we had an arrangement." "With the old owner, not with corporate." My phone started ringing. My father. I let it go to voicemail. "This is ridiculous," Trinity said, pacing. "Just call them. Explain the situation. Tell them we're family." "They don't care about family," I replied. "They care about profit margins." Aunt Zélie's eyes narrowed. "You knew about this, didn't you? You knew they were buying the building. I met her gaze steadily. Yes. And you didn't warn us? Trinity's voice rose to a shriek. Your own family. Like you warned me before hiring Tatum? Or before announcing your wedding would be here? Or before… That's different. Trinity grabbed my arm. This is our home. No, I said, removing her hand. This is a luxury apartment complex where you've been living at a fraction of market rate. And now that's over? The door opened again. My father. His face was ashen. The eviction notice crumpled in his fist. Daddy! Trinity ran to him. Savannah knew! She knew they were selling and she didn't tell us. He looked at me, really looked at me, for the first time in years. Is this true? Yes. Why? Because you deserved it. The silence that followed was deafening. I deserve a 3-bedroom apartment for $800 a month? Trinity finally sputtered. No. You deserve to learn what things actually cost. Aunt Zaley pulled out her phone. I'm calling corporate. This is discrimination. Go ahead, I said. Ask for Diego. Tell him how you haven't paid full rent in 5 years. I'm sure he'll be very sympathetic. My father stepped forward. You did this on purpose. You orchestrated all of it. I simply stopped protecting you from reality. Reality? Trinity laughed hysterically. The reality is you're a bitter, jealous bitch who couldn't stand to see anyone else happy. Happy? I stood up. You were happy because you were parasites, living off my position, my work, my reputation, and now you're angry because the host is rejecting you. A knock at the door interrupted us. It was Poppy. Sorry, she said, taking in the scene. Bad timing. No, I said. Perfect timing. Did you get your notice? She nodded. Market rate starting next month, but I've been saving. I'll be okay. Trinity whirled on her. You knew too? No, Poppy said. But I didn't expect to live off Savannah forever either. My father had been silent, studying me. You'll regret this, he finally said. When you're alone, when you have no family left, you'll regret it. Like you regret treating me like your personal property manager instead of your daughter? He flinched. You have 30 days, I said to all of them. The new owners don't accept partial payments or late excuses. This isn't over, Trinity hissed, grabbing her notice. I'll make sure everyone knows what you did. Go ahead, I replied. Tell them how your sister finally stopped letting you live rent-free. I'm sure they'll be horrified. They left one by one, Trinity storming out, Aunt Zaley still frantically calling corporate, my father with one last disappointed look. Only Poppy remained. You okay? She asked softly. I sat back down, suddenly exhausted. I will be. For what it's worth, she said. I get it. They had this coming. From my window, I watched my father standing in the courtyard, staring up at the building like he'd never seen it before. In a way, he hadn't. He'd never seen it as what it really was. A business, not a family estate. My phone buzzed with a text from Diego. Multiple complaints coming in. Want me to block the numbers? Yes, I replied. Then I looked at Poppy. Want to get coffee? Somewhere far from here? She smiled. Lead the way. We left through the back exit, avoiding the growing crowd of angry residents in the lobby. Let them rage. Let them scheme. Let them finally face the cost of their entitlement. The rent was due, and I wasn't accepting IOUs anymore. The retaliation started with Trinity's Instagram story. My own sister sold us out. Betrayed her entire family for corporate greed. Shun toxic family, shun narcissist, shun backstabber. By noon, my phone was flooded with messages from extended family and old friends. Aunt Zaley had apparently spent the morning calling everyone she knew, spinning tales of my cruel betrayal. You need to see this, Poppy texted, sending a link to Tatum's professional social media page. The wedding planner had posted emails supposedly proving I'd deliberately sabotaged Trinity's wedding setup. All lies, of course. But the comments were vicious. I was clearing out my office when Diego appeared in the doorway. "We need to talk." "About the complaints?" "About your position." He closed the door. "Corporate's concerned about the optics. Your family's making quite a bit of noise." "They're angry. It'll pass." "It's not just them. Other residents are worried they'll be next. We're getting calls about discrimination, harassment." He sighed. "We need you to resign." "You're firing me?" "Offering you a graceful exit. With severance." He placed a document on my desk. "You can keep your apartment. That lease is ironclad. But we need distance from this situation." I stared at the resignation letter. "You knew this would happen." "Yes. And so did you." My phone buzzed again, a text from my father. "Your mother would be ashamed." I signed the letter. Diego took it, looking almost apologetic. "For what it's worth, you did everything legally. But family drama is bad for business." After he left, I walked through the building one last time. Residents who used to greet me warmly now turned away. A maintenance worker I'd known for years pretended not to see me. In the lobby, I ran into Imran, my ex-boyfriend, now dating Poppy. He looked uncomfortable. "Hey," he said. "Quite a mess you've made." "That's one way to put it." "Poppy's upset. She thinks you used her somehow." "I never told her anything." "No, you just let her walk into this blind." He shook his head. "You've changed, Savannah. You're colder than I remember." "Maybe I was always cold. Maybe you just never noticed. Maybe." He stepped closer. "Or maybe you've let bitterness poison everything good in your life." "Is that what Poppy thinks?" "Poppy thinks you're hurting. But she also thinks you went too far." He headed for the door, then turned back. "She's moving out, by the way. Says she can't stay here after this." That hurt more than I expected. I took the elevator to the top floor, to my apartment, the only place I had left. Through my window, I could see Trinity in the courtyard below, crying on a bench while her new husband tried to console her. For a moment, something twisted in my chest. Not regret exactly, but... A knock at my door interrupted the thought. It was Tatum. "Here to collect more lies for your social media?" I asked. "Here to give you this." She handed me an invoice. "For damages to my professional reputation, my lawyer will be in touch." I laughed. "Good luck with that." "You know," she said, "I've planned hundreds of weddings, dealt with countless family dramas, but I've never seen anyone as calculating as you." "Thanks for the compliment." "It wasn't one." She smiled coldly. "Enjoy your empty victory. I hear it gets lonely at the top." After she left, I opened my laptop to find dozens of emails from residents demanding explanations, from family members expressing their disgust, from old friends choosing sides. Even my dentist had sent a message saying they could no longer accommodate me as a patient. My phone rang. Poppy. "Is it true?" she demanded. "Did you know about the sale when I told you I was thinking of moving?" "Yes." "And you didn't warn me?" "I couldn't. There was an NDA." She laughed bitterly. "An NDA. Right. Because legal documents matter more than family. Poppy, save it. You know what hurts the most? I actually defended you to them. For years, I thought you were different." She paused. I was wrong. The line went dead. I walked to my kitchen and poured a glass of wine, then another. The sun was setting over the city, casting long shadows across my empty apartment. In the distance, I could hear moving trucks. The first of many, no doubt. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Diego. "Position available in our Seattle office. Entry level. Fresh start if you want it." I didn't respond. Instead, I watched through my window as my family's cars left the parking lot one by one. Trinity's BMW, my father's Mercedes, Aunt Zaley's Lexus, all paid for with the money they'd saved living here. The courtyard was empty now, except for the fountain. Its water still danced in the fading light, oblivious to the chaos around it. I'd won. So why did victory taste so bitter? 2 weeks after the eviction notices, I sat alone in my apartment, scrolling through blocked numbers and deleted social media accounts. The silence was deafening. No more maintenance calls, no more family demands, no more constant drama, just emptiness. The moving trucks had come and gone. Trinity and her husband moved in with his parents, a fact I learned from Poppy's Instagram before she blocked me. My father found a smaller apartment across town. Aunt Zaley was supposedly staying with friends, though rumors suggested she'd fled to Florida to avoid the back rent. A knock at my door startled me. It was Poppy, looking angry and determined. "You're not answering your phone," she said, pushing past me into the apartment. "I've been busy hiding." She spun to face me. "Do you even know what's happening out there? Trinity's husband lost a client because of this scandal. Dad's having chest pains from stress. Aunt Zaley's car got repossessed. Not my problem. That's exactly your problem." She stepped closer. "You punished everyone for not seeing you. Now they'll never know who you were." The slap caught me off guard. Not just the sting, but the fact that gentle, sweet Poppy had delivered it. "Feel better?" I asked, touching my cheek. "No!" Her voice cracked. "Because you don't even care. You got your revenge, but at what cost? Look around, Savannah. Look what you've become." I glanced at my apartment, once a home, now just a space filled with expensive furniture and no warmth. No family photos, no holiday cards, no signs of life beyond the basics. "I had to do it," I said quietly. "No, you chose to do it. There's a difference." She walked to my window. "Remember when we were kids? How you used to protect me from Trinity's mean girl games? How you'd cover for me when I snuck out? What happened to that Savannah? She got tired of being used. She got lost in her own bitterness." Poppy turned back to me. "I went to dinner with Imran last night. He asked about you." Something twisted in my chest. "And?" "He said he misses who you used to be. Before all this." She paused. "I do too. I'm still me. Are you? Because the Savannah I knew would never have orchestrated something this cruel. Justified, maybe. But cruel?" My hands started shaking. "They deserved it. Maybe they did. But did you deserve what it's done to you?" The question hit harder than her slap. I sank onto my couch, suddenly exhausted. "I got a job offer," I said. "In Seattle. Running away? Starting over." Poppy sat beside me. "You know what the saddest part is? If you'd just talked to them, really talked, not just swallowed your anger until it poisoned you, maybe things could have been different. They wouldn't have listened. You'll never know now, will you?" My phone buzzed. Another blocked number. Probably Trinity or Aunt Zaley with more accusations. I'd stopped checking messages days ago. "Open it," Poppy said. I did. It was my father. "Your mother's birthday next week. First time none of us will be together. Is this what you wanted?" The tears came suddenly, violently. 7 years of suppressed emotion breaking through the carefully constructed walls of my revenge. "Oh, Savannah," Poppy whispered, pulling me into a hug. "You won this battle but lost yourself in the war." "I just wanted them to see me," I sobbed. "To value me, to understand what I did for them. And now? Now I'm alone, in an empty apartment in a building full of strangers who hate me." I wiped my eyes. "I won everything, and it still doesn't feel like enough." Poppy was quiet for a moment. "You know, there's a difference between being respected and being feared. You chose fear. I chose consequences. You chose destruction. Theirs and yours. She stood up. I'm moving to Portland next week. New job, fresh start. Good for you. You could come visit. When you're ready to be my cousin again, instead of just the person who burned everything down. After she left, I walked through my apartment, really seeing it for the first time in weeks. The empty walls, the untouched kitchen, the silence that had once felt like victory, but now felt like a prison. My phone buzzed again. Diego's Seattle offer, still waiting for a response. An escape route. A clean slate. But Poppy's words echoed. You punished everyone for not seeing you. Now they'll never know who you were. I went to my closet and pulled out an old photo album. Inside, pictures of happier times, family vacations, holiday gatherings, moments before resentment took root and grew into something ugly. I'd won the war against my family. But as I sat there alone, surrounded by the aftermath of my perfect revenge, I realized Poppy was right. The biggest casualty had been myself. The corporate makeover of Versailles Crown was complete. Gone were the personal touches, the familiar faces, the sense of community. Now, it was just another luxury complex with pristine hallways and empty smiles. I stood in my old office, now a sleek leasing center, watching a young couple tour the property. The agent quoted their market rate without flinching. $200 for the 2-bedroom. My phone buzzed. Diego again. Seattle offer expires tomorrow. Need your answer. I walked to the courtyard, where the fountain still danced, but somehow seemed less magical. A maintenance worker, one I didn't recognize, was pressure washing Trinity's wedding altar away. Excuse me, a voice said behind me. Are you Savannah? I turned to find a woman holding moving boxes. Yes? I'm in 4B. Your sister's old unit? The bathroom faucet keeps dripping, but maintenance says there's a 2-week wait. She looked hopeful. Someone said you might know how to fix it. I don't work here anymore. Oh. She shifted awkwardly. Sorry. It's just, everyone used to talk about how you took care of everything. I walked away before she could say more, but her words followed me. 7 years of taking care, and what did I have to show for it? An empty apartment and a job offer 3 states away. My phone rang. Poppy. Have you checked your email? She asked without greeting. No. Check it now. There was a new message from Trinity. No accusations this time. No anger. Just a photo of her first ultrasound and 3 words. I'm having twins. I sat heavily on a nearby bench. In another life, I would have been the first to know. Would have helped decorate the nursery, planned the baby shower, been there for every moment. She sent it to everyone, Poppy said quietly, including you. Why? Maybe because despite everything, you're still her sister. A pause. She's scared, Savannah. Living with in-laws, pregnancy complications, no real home. That's not my problem anymore. No, but it could be your chance. I looked up at my building, my former kingdom. Through the windows, I could see corporate workers installing new signage, erasing the last traces of my tenure. I can't fix everything, I said. No one's asking you to, but maybe you can fix one thing. Another pause. Dad's selling Mom's jewelry collection to help Trinity get an apartment, the one thing he promised to keep in the family. Something cracked inside me. When? Today. He's meeting the buyer at 4. I checked my watch. 3:15. Where? The coffee shop on Mason Street. I was in my car before hanging up. The same coffee shop where I'd met Diego, where I'd set this whole revenge plan in motion. It felt fitting. My father sat alone at a corner table, a small velvet bag in front of him. He looked older, smaller somehow. The buyer hadn't arrived yet. Don't sell it, I said, sliding into the chair across from him. He didn't seem surprised to see me. Trinity needs help. I know. I pulled out my checkbook. How much? You don't have to. How much? He named a figure. I wrote the check, adding extra for good measure. Why? He asked as I pushed it across the table. Because Mom would hate knowing her jewelry was sold to strangers. I met his eyes. And because I'm tired of winning. He studied the check for a long moment. I was wrong, you know, when I said you never gave this family anything. Dad! No, let me finish. You gave everything. We just took it for granted. He slid the velvet bag toward me. These should go to you anyway. You were always more like her. I opened the bag, touching Mom's favorite necklace. I'm not moving to Seattle. Good. He stood up. Trinity has a doctor's appointment next week. She could use a ride. I'll think about it. Walking back to my car, I called Diego. I'm declining the offer. You sure? Clean breaks are easier. I looked at the velvet bag in my passenger seat. Some things are worth fixing instead of leaving. That evening, I sat in my apartment and drafted an email to Trinity. Not an apology. What I'd done couldn't be undone with simple sorries. But maybe an opening. A small crack in the wall I'd built. I heard you're having twins, I wrote. Mum would have loved that. Outside, the fountain kept flowing, its sound carrying up to my window. Different residents walked past it now, but the water remained the same. Always moving, always changing, always finding its way forward. I added one more line to the email. Need a ride to your appointment next week? Then I hit send and waited for whatever came next. Not a fresh start, exactly, but maybe something better. A chance to rebuild, this time without the weight of revenge poisoning every brick. After all, some things are worth more than being right. Some things are worth being whole.